So, not quite sure what this one's going to be about yet. It's be about my coffee mug I found. Let's see if you can read it. It's a picture of Buddha. It says, "Let that shit go." Very apropos. Being close to the holidays, one of the things that myself and several other individuals at the facility I'm at do, we help Salvation Army by we're the bell ringers. It's a really humbling experience. You'd be amazed at the amount of kids that want to come up and donate their change or their allowance or, any number of reasons. Yeah, it's always amazing how much it makes their day. I remember last year when I was doing it, I don't remember exactly who I was talking to, but they had commented on the fact that no matter what side I was on, my buckets always seemed to do really well. And I jokingly said, well, it's because I used to be a panhandler. A lot of people don't realize that, 6-7 years ago, I was literally living under a bridge, and was homeless, and I used to panhandle. Well, at some point, this person, pretty quickly thereafter, tried to insult me. By saying that the only reason my buckets did so well was because I was such a good beggar. And I remember at the time I just kind of blew it off, and I remember thinking to myself, I was actually thinking about it today, that's why I'm talking about it. I've experienced this a lot in my life, where people try to use my past against me. This comes back to that accountability video, because once you actually finally take accountability for your life and all the things that have happened in it, all the choices you have made that have created your reality and put you where you're at, what you're doing, people can't hold your past against you anymore. Yeah, I've made mistakes, of course. Duh. That's how you learn. Have I made some not so good choices? Absolutely. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, a decade ago, a lot of those things held a lot of power over me because I still had a lot of guilt and shame. I don't anymore, because I took responsibility and accountability. I took my power back. And I talk about that in the accountability thing, how empowering it is. Well, it's one of the keys to letting things go. Old hurts, traumas, things like that. You have to change your thinking from, why did this happen to me, to, what did this teach me? What have I learned from it? What part did I play in it? How could I have handled it better? How could I have reacted it better? Most people don't get past the first question of why. You gotta dig a little deeper. But yeah, so this person tried to insult me. And I thought, I was thinking about it today, and I thought, you know what? I was a good beggar. I did quite well at panhandling, actually. Um, no, I won't go into tips and tricks because there are a few things, but and that's where I'm at, you know, and that's part of recovery is you get to a point where, you know, as they talk in the 12 steps, where, you know, I can't remember the exact verbiage now. You don't shut the door on the past completely or something like that. But basically, my past, while it has defined me in the aspect that it's made me who I am today, in the perspective of you are the sum of all your parts and experiences. Of course, it has had an effect, but it does not define me. And anybody who tries to label me or judge me or define me based on my past is not actually seeing me. It's another area a lot of guys, a lot of people, not guys, but people struggle with in addiction recovery. Getting over the shame and guilt and stuff of the past. That's what the whole fourth step is about. Taking accountability and responsibility. Yeah. I'm not proud of who I've been, and I'm not embarrassed by it either. You know, do I strive every day to be a better version than I was? Yes, absolutely. And I no longer fear doing that. Most people struggle with change not because they're incapable of it, but because it's the unknown. So yeah, I was ringing a bell and I was thinking about that, and one of the things that occurred to me was one of the reasons my buckets do so well is I talk to a lot of people. I say hi to them as they're walking up, have a good day, you know, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all of those things. I engage. You'd be surprised at the number of people who will be avoiding eye contact as they walk up until I say, hi, how are you doing? And then, okay, I'll give money now. That goes back to what I've talked about before in other videos, how most people, myself included, we're taught a conditional form of love, or love under condition. There's not an exchange unless I get something out of it. It used to happen to me a lot when I was panhandling. I can't tell you the number of times I've had people, because I would do the same thing. I would just say, hey, hi, how you doing? Have a nice day, you know, stuff like that. And actually, a lot of times I would say, have a blessed day, or blessed be. And I can't tell you the number of times people would come up to me and give me money and be like, I'm giving this to you just because you said have a blessed day. Really? You know? Of course, I also got all the people who would be like, okay, well, what are you going to use it for? You know? Which, I get to a point, you know. But just that little bit of conditional exchange. I'm not going to help you unless you acknowledge me. Interesting. Why? Why is that necessary? If you're called to help, or you're called to give to somebody who's panhandling, or a donation bucket. Don't doubt it. Just do it. It comes back to the universal rule of threefold. Everything you put out there comes back. 3 times or 3 times as much. Minimum. Sometimes 10. It's like I did a video on a story about winning some lottery. A little backstory to that was a week, not even a week, 3 or 4 days prior to this waitress slash hostess mentioning the lotto and me going and playing and hitting $100 and hitting 15 the next day was I dropped $140 in that place. They had stockings lined up for all the cooks, waitresses, and busboys and everything, and I put a $20 bill in every single waitress's stocking. And 2 days later, I go to the same place, and the hostess says, "Hey, you should play the lottery," and I did, and I won $100. I literally got my money back 48 hours later. Because I didn't doubt, I didn't hesitate, I had faith. Didn't question it. People think little things like that are completely inconsequential. No, they're not. Something as simple as that can define your whole day. The point to this one, I guess, is try to learn to listen to your intuition. That quiet little instant nudge to reach in your pocket, pull out whatever you have, and put it in the Salvation Army bucket, or give it to the guy holding the sign. You know? And if you don't have cash on you and you want to buy them food, take the 5 minutes, take the 10 minutes, take the hour, whatever it takes you to buy them a meal. You know, it's kind of like forgiveness. Forgiveness is just as much for the person forgiving as it is for the person receiving. It's, in a lot of cases, more so. Anyway. That's where my brain's been. So, song just popped in my head. Chet Fecker, "Talk is Cheap."